Okay guys, welcome to another video of mine. As you can tell from the title, this video is going to be all about American software. Now, this little tune, this particular loading screen probably conjures up quite a lot of happy memories for a lot of people, certainly for myself. Now, I was lucky enough to get a C64 right in the very kind of early days. I think I got it at the tail end of 1983. And the software that I got initially, it was all UK software, and to be fair, most of it wasn't very good. Yeah, there was one or two exceptions like Lamasoft, Analog, they did quite a lot of good stuff, even Ocean. But then, through the wonders of piracy, I was exposed to software from the US. Now this was really before US Gold was established even, and I was very lucky enough to be given copies of some classic titles. Now the quality of the American software just seemed so much better. I think a big part of it was because the Atari bit had been established for quite a long time, and so they'd really got to know how to work the Atari really well. And the Atari 800 and the C64 shared similar software. I think they had the same processor. So yeah, some of the software that was coming from from America for the C64 was really good. And this video isn't the best stuff; it's the stuff that I remember playing and enjoyed. So to kick things off, we have the mighty Blue Max. I'm just going to let you listen to the tune because it takes you right back. It certainly takes me back anyway. Signsoft 1983. The one thing I noticed when I was making this video is a lot of the early games from America, they all gave you the name of the programmer in the title. That's not something you get anymore. I quite liked that actually. It was quite smart, you know. You got to see the guy who wrote it, but then later on, you know, programmers became quite invisible. So anyway, Blue Max. Yeah, what's the idea behind this game? You basically pilot this little biplane. I don't know if there's an actual end to the game, but pushing up makes you rise up, pulling down makes you go down, pulling down with fire button drops a bomb, and pressing the fire button fires a bullet. And you've basically just got to destroy everything. I think, I don't know, is there such a thing as things that you shouldn't destroy? I'm not too sure actually. You can even destroy boats if you're clever enough. Always thought the bombing sound was really authentic in this game. You can also destroy the road, which then takes out the little cars. I think if you're really skilled, you can actually. I think when it says L, that there you go, kamikaze trainee. That shows you when you can land. You've got to wait for the speed to get to 100, and then it turns white. Then you can push it up. Yeah, you can see there I'm flying quite low. Too low that'll crash into trees. But that's a great game. It's an absolute classic game. It's one of the early games, but it's a wonderful game. Even now I do still play it from time to time. Beautiful. I'm going to let you enjoy this sound effect. I think that's one of the best sounds ever on a C64. It just keeps getting higher and higher and higher pitched. And you think your eardrums are going to perforate with the noise. I don't actually know if it just keeps getting higher and higher and higher. Anyway, yeah, this is Fort Apocalypse. This is one of my favourite C64 games. The idea being you're piloting this helicopter and you've got to infiltrate this enemy base. I've never actually completed it. I've actually got really far, but I've never quite completed it. Which, considering I've been playing it for about 40 years, it doesn't say much about my my gaming skill. Graphically wise, even scrolling wise, it's not the best, but you know what, it's the layout of it's the the levels, it's the whole structure of the game. It's a fantastic game. You see these little missiles kind of tail you. Yeah, if you look at the sprites, I mean the sprite you control's a single colour. Sounds not even that good, but you know what? It's one of these games, the collection of all the parts together makes for a wonderful game. When you start off the game, you'll see you've got low fuel, so you've got to instantly make sure you put some fuel in. You've got these little space invaders, they kind of float about. You're tapping the joystick left or right, it does eventually make you sort of facing towards the screen. You'll see there's a helicopter was underneath the cavern, you can take him out as well. I've got to say, as much as I love the C64 one, the Atari 800 one is better. In fact, most of the games that I'm going to show you in this video, there were ports of Atari 800 games, and generally, excuse me, generally the Atari 800 versions are better. But you didn't hear that from me. But I didn't have an 800 back then, it was a C64 I had, but I'm lucky enough now to have several Ataris, including the old big tank Atari 800, the original one, and the versions are just sublime. I mean, this game in Atari 800 is awesome. Now there's these little teleport things. If you get zapped with the laser, it transports you. Now you'll see there at the side, I'm going to go the other way I think. The little white pad, if you land in that, that's a restart point. Now you need to pick up this little guy. You've got 5 men to rescue. Ah, so you're not trying to destroy anything, I think you're just trying to rescue the guys. But I love there's so much variety in the game. I was going to say it's basically Airwolf that came out by Elite, but 10 times better. Now these blocks, you can see there, they move along, they do change direction rather randomly, so you need to be very, very careful. Whoa! It is fiendishly difficult. Either that or I am just fiendishly shite. Sorry, I'm just kind of indulging myself a wee bit in this game. I want to try and see if I can... Now if you shoot that block, I think that does make it change direction, so you need to be careful. Aye, sometimes the lasers zap you, other times they just transport you, so I'm not really quite sure. There's a little helicopter underneath. I've not got the best intelligence and generally crash. A bit like myself. Those in glass houses should not throw stones. But yeah, if you looked at a screenshot of this, and even the sprite, the way, you know, it's not flickering, but it looks pretty shite, but it's an absolutely wonderful game. If you've never played it before and you want a classic slice of 8-bit goodness, then please play this game. It's one of my top 5 Commodore 64 games. I don't think it was ever converted for anything other than the Atari 800. It started out life in the Atari and then it was converted to C64. Even the sound's quite grating, but again, doesn't bother me. It's such a fun game to play. Quick. Right, anyway, that is Fort Apocalypse. Go and check it out. There you go, Drells by Kelly Jones. See, it tells you who wrote it. Miriam Nathan and William Mandel. Again, released by Synapse Software, this time in 1984. This is a batshit mental game, I don't mind admitting it. To try and explain this game to anybody without letting them see it would be absolutely impossible. Now, if you can hear a groaning noise in the background, I've got a dog that thinks that people should not walk past our house. How dare they? Right, okay. To try and explain the game, you control what looks like... It looks like the guy out of Not Sully, what's the other one? The guy out of Monsters Inc. The one-eyed green thing. You control him. You can move up, down, left and right. And the idea being is you've got to try and close off, make squares out of the little rotating gates. Pursued is what can only be described as a psychedelic slug which patrols the perimeter of the playfield. You'll see it and it occasionally fires bullets. And you've also got this hideously horrible square with a face, and it's got its eyes tight shut. It's a bizarre thing. It's like something at your worst nightmare. And to make matters worse, once you can eventually, if you're lucky enough and time it right, you can enclose said evil face in one of the squares, and it will kind of stop him in his tracks. And also, if you pick up the heart, you'll see there I've stopped him. He kind of looks a bit like an envelope actually, but he's a horrible looking thing. Once you've made squares out of all the gates possible, the squares start to fill up. You'll see there with either devils or it looks like a girl trapped in a picture. Don't move into the squares with the devil's face because you'll die. But on occasion you'll see the square will fill with little images of you. If that makes any sense. You'll see what I mean in a second. Ah, balls. Yeah, it's possibly the most bizarre game I've ever played, and like I say, to try and explain the game would just be mental. How you see it for a second. See the squares that I've got? They look like little versions of you. If you move into it like I've just done, you then go to this little kind of bonus level where you've basically got to pick up all these little mirror images of yourself, and there's a little green thing at the bottom there you can see. Anyway, he fires up or down, he doesn't fire diagonally, so as long as you kind of keep out his range of sight, or line of sight I should say, you should be good to go. And then once you've done this, you go back and you start all over again, but I think there's more evil faces. It's a bizarre game, and I remember seeing pictures of it thinking that looks terrible, and when I actually started playing it, I really enjoyed it. Come on. Don't ask. Please don't ask. I've got no idea what's going on either. So there you go. You now restart the game, but this time you've got two of the envelopes from hell. If you call them envelopes, they don't seem quite so scary. It's the fact they've got their eyes tight shut. It's just bizarre. Possessed faces. So you try and pick up the heart, like what I didn't do there, and then that'll freeze little faces. Yeah, it's all very strange. I mean, you've got devils with what look like tortured souls in them. It's strange. I would love to know what that guy Kelly, whatever his name was on at the time when he wrote this game. Even the music, it's almost like, it's like, you know what it is, it's like something, it's like a dream you would have that you couldn't explain to anybody. One day I'll actually need to read the instructions just to see what it actually says about the game. Yeah, apologies again for playing the game in its entirety. I wasn't intending to do that. Yeah, there you go, you get that, that's your worst nightmare. That is Drells. That game's got one of the best intros ever. Synapse, wonderful little futuristic sound as well. So again there, William Nictagos, Seamus, they credit themselves in the game, and why shouldn't they? I did do a 10-minute mashup of this game, I'm sure, or I've certainly featured it recently. And it's kind of similar to Berserk, which you'll see. I'm just letting you listen to the music by the way, so I'll stop talking for a second. Yeah, you play the little part of Seamus. It looks like a little kind of cowboy. The shadow is a bit like Evil Otto from Berserk. He will appear after a certain amount of time and just chase you. There's different levels, and you can, well, different levels, different maps as well. But again, I love this game. It just, yeah, looking at it now, it looks quite simplistic. So it's mostly arcade, kind of RPG. Well, I wouldn't maybe say RPG, but you've got to pick up keys and that kind of stuff. But mainly, it's an arcade shooter. And like Berserk, don't walk into walls. So level black, novice, room 2, map original. So I think, yeah, I don't know how many different maps there were. Once you kill all the baddies, you start running quicker. I don't know whether that was deliberate or whether it was because it was just because the program slowed down. I think it's deliberate, personally. So yeah, that's Seamus. Next up is Flak. Troy Linden. He programmed Barry McGuckin's boxing. Yeah, there's a fact. This is a really early shoot 'em up, and I'd forgotten all about it until when I was making this video. I used to play this all the time. I did buy it. I had an original tape of this, and it's a really good shoot 'em up. It's really difficult, as I will demonstrate. It kind of feels a bit Xavious. Nice scrolling. The only thing it doesn't seem to have though is you can only drop bombs. It doesn't appear you can fire bullets. I don't even know if you get any baddies appearing on the screen, so it might be a wee bit more simplistic than Xavious, but it's fiendishly difficult, as you'll see in a second. But for its time, it's really nice, super smooth. And there's really not that many good vertical shooters on the C64. And the fact that this still kind of stands up today is testament to just how good it is, I think. But like I says, guys, this is not. There are tons and tons and tons of more up to date US Gold games. It's not US Gold games I'm really talking about. It's the very early American software that I got to play back in 1983, 1984. So like I said, there's tons of games that came out since, but these are the early games. These were the ones that it just opened my eyes as to just how good the C64 could be. So that is Flak. That is really good. Next up is The Mighty Spy Hunter by Bally Midway. Now, I never realised just how how difficult the car is to control. It's got quite a bit of inertia built in, so it kind of moves all over the place. Possibly using a joystick's not the best way to play it, but you know, a paddle might have been nice, but I don't think it would support that. Now, it's based on the arcade game. These little white blue cars, they're harmless. I don't know if you lose points for blowing them up. Same with the little brown cars. You've got every now and again you'll get a lorry passing you, and if you slow up, don't do what I do and ram into the back of it. If you slow up, it lets you drive inside and it will give you a special weapon. So try and not take out the little light blue cars. You will see other adversaries coming up which you can shoot. Now he's okay, he's a goodie. Now he's the little rammer, not the rammer, he's got these saws, so he'll take out your tyres, causing you to crash, so you can shoot him. Right, there's a lorry there, so stop, and hopefully he'll give me a weapon. But this is actually a really good version. I remember when I got MAME playing this, and I was actually a bit disappointed with the arcade one. I thought this is a better, I prefer the C64 one. You see there, I've now got oil. Now I think you press spacebar to activate it, which isn't the best. Right, you'll see there, oh, I'm just going over some water. Eventually you'll come to a point where the bridge ends and you've got to turn into a boat. Hopefully I'll be able to let you see that. So avoid him. Now you will see there bridge on left, so you need to keep left. Now that guy there, he rams you. He'll try and put you off the road like so, but you can try and do the same to him. Oops. Right, so I'm now a boat. And you'll get little other boats that try and think they drop mines and that kind of stuff. But this, you know, the games I'm showing you today, they're early games, but they were games that your imagination filled the gaps in. You know, the graphics maybe weren't the best, but to me, I was James Bond. You know, you were taking part in a James Bond movie. And you can go in there and basically turn back into a little car again. I think you get missiles, you get oil, and you get, I don't know, I can't remember. I think that car's called the Enforcer, if I remember rightly. And as you can see there, he shoots bullets out the side, so avoid him at all costs. Come on, you sod. Well, I took him out as well. So yeah, that's a mighty spy hunter. Next up is the game that was that Matthew Smith of Manic Miner fame credited as being the inspiration behind Manic Miner, and you can see why. This is called Miner 2049er, and it was written by a guy called Bill Hogue. I don't know what age Bill Hogue must be. I think he was quite old when he wrote this. That's the sad thing is now when you look at, you know, you look at these games that were like 30, 40 years ago, in many cases a lot of the guys have sadly passed away. Yeah, the game is, it is literally probably the shittiest looking game you could ever play, but by God it's a fantastic game. The idea of the game is basically to walk over all the platform area. You'll see there when you walk over it, it sort of fills it in. Once you colour in all the area, you move on to the next level. But it's not that simple. The levels are populated by various little, I can only describe them as little bogies. They look like little bogies. Now when you pick up an item, any item at all, they turn into little smiley bogies like so, and you can kill them by walking over them. You don't have to kill the baddies to end the level, so there you go, that's me now moved on to level 2. So yep, pick up an item and they turn to little happy smiley faces for, I don't know, 10 seconds, something like that. So you've got to try and plan your escape out. You see there, you've also got to turn the little you've got to turn the area where the little, that's a little slide. So I'm trying not to fall down the slide, which I didn't do. Now there was a sequel to this game called Bounty Bob Strikes Back, which is even better, but I suggest you cut your teeth in this game. I mean, it might look like a simple game, but it's a absolutely enormously fun game. Now you're also doing this against a time limit. You see there, I've got 20. It's not, I don't think it's seconds. It looks like more than seconds. 20 timed units you've got. Right, so what I need to do here is be careful. I've got 18 timed units to get to the end. So you really want to try and, oh bollocks, you really want to try and kill the baddies as quickly as possible. and then all you have to do is concentrate on basically clearing the level. This is going to be tight. I've got 9 game seconds to go. Am I going to do it? What do you think, guys? I've still got a wee couple of bits to go. Going to be tight. 2 seconds to spare. Yeah, and obviously the further on in the game you get things like lifts. Basically, you'll see there, you see the number moving up and down. When you press the fire button, you will transport onto that lift. So it's an absolutely brilliant game. It looks shite, but it's it's fantastic. Excuse me. Ah dear. Now you need to be careful, because when you're jumping, you can hit your head off the little baddies. Yeah, they look like little depressed bogies. I don't quite know what they're supposed to be, because you never read the instructions in games, did you? Yeah, Miner 2049er, an absolute gem of a game. Funsoft presents, excuse me, Snooky. There you go, by Troy London again. I remember seeing screenshots of this game in magazines, and I thought it looked amazing. You know, this was 1983, remember, guys. I thought it looked amazing, and when I eventually got it, I think I got a copy of it. I was a wee bit, I wouldn't say disappointed in the game, but it was probably one of the most difficult games I've ever played. So I wanted to feature it, I wanted to show you in this anyway, just to let you see. It was one of the early games that I did play. Now, I did have to draw a line under the number of games I've got in this. I don't know how many there is. There must be about 20, 25 games, something like that. There are probably loads of other games that I played back in the early days that I haven't included, but this is just a small selection of the early American games that I loved. Right, come on, one more go. It's one of these one more go type games. It's so frustrating, but the game ends so quickly that you've just got to have another go. Now, I don't know what you are. You look like there was a cartoon on in the 80s called Captain Caveman. Are you a bird? I'm really not quite sure. Go on then, one more go. Yeah, not all games are great. I can't say this is a particularly great game, but it is one that I've got happy memories playing. So yeah, that is Snooky. There we go, Mr. Troy London again. He was quite a prolific programmer back in the day. This is Mr. Do. Now, I did actually show this particular version in an Arcade Perfect My Arse that I put out maybe about a month ago. This is an absolutely cracking version of Mr. Do, the arcade game. You know how to play the game. The idea is to collect the fruit and move on to the next level. But for big points, you want to, if you walk underneath fruit, the fruit will fall, and what you can do is, you can get the baddies to follow you. A bit like in Burger Time, you want them to follow you, and then you can knock the fruit down on top of them. You've also got this little, I don't know what it is, I always think it's like a bit of bubble gum or something, a bouncy ball, which I always forget to fire. You can use that, and it kind of recharges itself, and that will kill the baddies. So I'll just wait there, and that will, and you got a little fruit killed some of the baddies. You also get bits of fruit floating about. I'm not really quite sure how that works. I think you shoot them and then you pick them up, and it gives you letters to try and make the word extra. but it's a cracking game. The arcade game is great, and this is a really good version of it. But like I said earlier, all these games, they were all ports of the Atari 800. I don't know whether Spy Hunter was on the Atari 800. Need to check it and find out. So I think if you shoot that, I don't know what happened there. Did that give me the T? So there's bits of like cake you can pick up, and I don't know what these, they appear. Do you kill them? I'm really not too sure. I never proclaimed to be good at games, by the way, as you probably know if you watch my channel on a semi-regular basis. And you can see there for the keen-eyed amongst you, each level has got a number, so that's number 2. It looks like a large number 2, or scene 2 as I've called it here. So I fire my white little ball and it takes a few seconds to kind of recharge. Games back then, it was all about playability. It wasn't about the graphics, it was about the gameplay. And all these games delivered by the bucket load. So that's Mr. Do. Excuse me. Another cracking game, one you really need to check out. And up to number 3. Right, following on from Mr. Do is Mr. Do's Castle. Now this was one that I got a pirate copy of. I don't even know, did this game ever get officially released in the UK? I'm really not too sure. It's a wonderful game. Again, it's based on an arcade game. You have basically got to knock out what I can only describe as like floorboards in a castle, and when you do so, you move on to the next level. And you can see there you're getting pursued by, they look like kind of a cross between bulls and unicorns. Now you can knock them into a hole. If you knock one of the little floorboards away, they'll fall into the hole, and then I think you can knock them in the head, which doesn't kill them, it just makes them more pissed off and they get even quicker. No, in fact, no, I'm talking rubbish. I think if you hit them in the head, it does kill them. But when they fall into a hole and get out, they eventually change colour and get even faster. Now, hitting the key icon, you'll see there has opened up that thing. Is that the end of the level? No, it's not. I think it's just a bonus. Oh, it's turned the little baddies into letters. But it's such a jovial little game. I'm not normally a big fan of cute games, but this is excellent. I played this so much. It's just ridiculously fun to play. Can't say I've ever really played the one in MAME. No, I've always enjoyed the C64 one. The graphics are super detailed as well. So basically take out all the little bits of the floor. I don't think you die when you fall from height, no you don't. And when you go up here, I'll go down and take this one out first. And so on, it starts repeating. But I think there's more baddies, slightly different layout in the castle as well. But And the little plinky plonky tune just kind of adds to the fun of the game. This isn't looking good. Nope. Yeah. Anyway, listen, that is Mr. Do's Castle. Again, I loved that game so much. I played it an awful lot back in the day. I couldn't leave this game out, guys. This is again one of my favourite C64 games, and I have been slightly critical of it in the past, possibly unfairly, saying how it's still fun to play, but it's very simplistic. But I remember seeing this game for the very first time in Ray's computer shop. It was running on an Atari, and being a kid of the sort of the 70s, Bruce Lee was a massive icon, hero of mine, and to be able to play a video game that had Bruce Lee in it was just amazing. Especially the fact that you could kick people and punch people and, you know, whatnot. Yeah, it is a very simple game, and you know, you could probably complete it, I reckon, probably about 15 minutes, maybe even less. And there's not a lot of sort of replay value in it. I think that's maybe why I've been a wee bit more dismissive of it in the past. Is just because there's, you know, once you've completed it, there's not a whole lot to it. That's it. It's not about high scores, but it's so well put together, and it's also fairly easy, which is why I was able to complete it. And being hampered in your task to, I think it's to dethrone the evil wizard, you've got two nemesises, a little black ninja, and I don't know why he's green. He's a sumo wrestler. I never did quite establish why he's green in colour, don't know. But the idea being is you pick up the lanterns that are scattered amongst throughout the map. You'll see them there, they kind of twinkle. So pick these up, and when you pick them all up, sometimes they'll open doors or whatever. You usually get a little noise to indicate that something has opened somewhere. Ah, you get. Take that, fat boy. So we'll go along there and pick that one up. I don't know why I went that way, that was a bit silly. And basically once you've picked them all up, then you move on to the next level. So I can't go right here, I need to go left. And looking at the graphics now, they're pretty shit. They really are. But you know what? It's such a great game. There is a really good sort of unofficial follow-up to this. I think it's called Bruce Lee 2, that some clever guys wrote a few years ago in the C64, which you can grab. It's a lot more difficult, but it's similar graphics and really nice. So that is Bruce Lee. That's an epic game. And again, I couldn't leave this one out. Now, apologies, I didn't bother playing this game because it would take me all day. So this is just a kind of demo. I remember seeing this game running. Once again, it was in Ray's computer shop, and my jaw hit the floor with the sound, especially in the level coming up. The aeroplanes passing overhead is just incredible. Bruce Carver absolutely nailed the sound of a plane passing overhead. Now, I'm using an emulator to run this game. I do know that emulators aren't always the best at producing proper sound, so I think that sounded even better on the real 64. But yeah, again, this is literally, it's a collection of mini games, and each one isn't particularly deep, but again, put them all together and you've got a really good fun game. So finally I can get into the beach and conduct a beach landing. like I said, if I was going to play this game, it would take me quite a while to make this video, so this is just the demo, hence the reason it's skipping through pretty quick. And you get to the end of the level and you've got to basically destroy all the little white bits before the huge gun turns around and shoots you in the face. That was Beachhead. Next one up is Forbidden Forest. This has got one of the best openings to any game, even now. I mean, yeah, the graphics are blocky, but this was so far ahead of its time. The music changes depending on what's happening on screen. It gets dark. I mean, you could also, in fact no, not this one, it was the sequel, I beg your pardon. It also had a sort of a pseudo 3D parallax scrolling, which we'll see in a second once I start to move. And it's also got one of the most frustrating parts of any game. Once he kills all the baddies in a level, he does a little dance. Not once, not twice, but about 6 times. And you can't skip it. So you've just got to enjoy the music. Yeah, that was the only annoying thing. This bit went on too long. But yeah, you'll see there, I mean, it's, as I say, it's the sound changes, it's got light, it's got day and night, and it also, you know, the parallax scrolling, the sort of depth. The second game, Beyond Forbidden Forest, which I haven't featured in this because that was a later game, you could even run in and out of the screen. I mean, it was revolutionary for its time, and I loved it to bits. See, I was disappointed. I always thought the graphic for the Archer was crap, but the game just plays so well. And it's also, some people give it the credit of being the first survival horror. I don't know, is that the case? It's certainly it's a kind of based on a horror type game with some hideous levels. Let's just do one more level. It's just got a bizarre one, giant frogs. You've basically got to shoot a number of them before you move on. And if you stay in the same place too long, you will get squished. Ooh. Like that. Anyway, that's Forbidden Forest, guys. And another game by Cosme is this. One thing I noticed about a lot of these games, they all had really epic openings. You could tell what the game was just with the opening. I'm not talking about getting to see the title screen, just with the music. They were almost kind of presented like films. Aztec Challenge, it's a series of mini games, obviously taking part in ancient Egypt, and this is one of the most frustrating levels you would ever play. You've basically got to duck or jump, but you don't know which side the spear's going to come, and trying to focus your eyes and react quick enough isn't always easy. As I'm probably going to demonstrate, you'll see there the pyramid is getting larger. So you do eventually get to the end of the level, and just when you think you're going to do it, you fuck up like I did. And then you generally lose 3 or 4 lives all in one. But there is multiple levels. Again, I couldn't let you see all the levels, but it's a fun game, if a little frustrating. But that is Aztec Challenge. Next up is a game, as you'll see in a second, based on the arcade game Qbert, but in my opinion this is a much better game. The level kind of looks bigger, it's easier to play, and it's got a really wicked main sprite. If you're off a certain age, you may remember Slinky. I think you can still get them, but the one I had was made of metal, whereas nowadays I think it's plastic and it's shite. The idea of this game is to basically change all the squares into a different colour, and once you do that, you then move on to the next level. If you jump into the little black square, that takes you back to the top of the maze. I think jumping on the flashing square, does that make you go a bit quicker? I think it does. Oops, that was water, so I'm going to get rusty. But I just find it easier to play than Qbert. Qbert is very narrow, it's a narrow gameplay. This one's, it's definitely easier. It's not got that really annoying snake thing. Is it Coily, I think he's called in Qbert. Because it's easier, it makes for a far more fun a game. The actual main sprite has only got 2 frames animation, but it actually looks just like a Slinky. Go up here and down. So that was Slinky. Right, next up is an early game by Bruce Carver called Neutral Zone. Again, I think it was probably one of their first games. I don't even know if it's written in BASIC. When you see the game, it wouldn't surprise me if it was written in BASIC actually. It's very, very, very simplistic. I remember at the time getting this, and it felt like it was quite futuristic. You know, here was a game set in space, and you were firing these rockets, whatever it is, at these, you know, incoming spaceships. Looking at it now, it's it doesn't look the best, shall we say. I mean, it uses expanded sprites. I think, yeah, you can see that it's using this sort of built-in font. But you know what? It was a game that I loved at the time. It was simplistic, but it was fun. It was just good fun. And that's what games are all about. Yeah, it would, you know, nowadays you wouldn't be able to sell something like this. If anybody knows if this was written in BASIC, then please let me know. There you go, you're a winner. And that is based. I am also Superman apparently. So yeah, that was Neutral Zone. Next up is Puyan, which is a conversion of Konami's arcade game. Again, it's a game that's very, very simple to play, but it's actually really good fun. So I'm not a big fan of cutesy games, but it's more shoot 'em up, I would say, than cute game. You basically, I don't know what you are. Are you a chicken or something? I've got no idea. You're basically trying to protect your young, which are in a little cage, which is a bit cruel, at the bottom of the screen, and along the top you've got these ferocious wolves who are using balloons to fly down and kill the babies, or abduct them. I don't know, are they going to kill them? I'm not too sure. And you've got this little hoist which your friends are pulling you up and down on. You can move up and down and press fire button, and you try and pop the balloons. Like I said, it's a very, very simple game, but it's actually really, really good fun. And I remember playing this. I didn't even know this was an arcade game at the time, you know. I'd never seen this in arcades. But yeah, it's a really good conversion of the arcade one, and as I say, it's super cute. Ultimately, very, very simple, but it's good fun to play, and that's what games are all about. So that is, what's that called again? That's Puyan. Next up is Donkey Kong. Now I did have a version of this called Kong, which was released by Analog Software, and I thought that was great until this appeared. This was released by Nintendo, and yeah, the screen does look really squished, but by goodness, what an amazing conversion of the arcade game. Even now, it really stacks up well. It's a great game. possibly slightly easier than the arcade one, but this is an amazing conversion. I'm just thinking if you actually squished the screen in, it would probably make it look almost arcade perfect. A bit like that. Yes, through the wonders of emulation you can just stretch the screen in a wee bit. But yeah, even in its wideness glory, this was still an amazing amazing fun game to play. You know, compared to the other sort of Donkey Kong clones that were out there, it's just had playability by the bucket load, and I say even playing it now, it's actually a really faithful version of Donkey Kong. Definitely a bit easier than the arcade one. But that's the thing though, with having emulators now, then you know you can manipulate games, you can make the screen wider, you can get rid of borders, you can make it run quicker. Why shouldn't you do that? You know, why don't you use modern technology to make gameplay even better? Though I'm a bit of a sado when it comes to classic games. I like to sort of enjoy them the way I remember playing them. So when I play this, I will always play in its wide beauty. I mean, Ocean did release a version of this a couple of years later, but this is always my go-to version on the C64. Next up is Encounter by Paul Wokes. Now this game, even now, it plays really well, but when it was released, it was quite an incredible game. It's, you know, it's 3D-ish graphics. The C64 was never supposed to be good at drawing filled-in graphics at speed, but this game is blazingly fast. I mean, you can see there you've got this sort of black posts which move in and out super quick, and you've got the little UFO things that you've got to try and kill. You've got the little radar. What I like about this game is it's no nonsense. There's no fancy displays. It's workable. It's exactly what you need, and I think possibly that's what helped this game to play as well as it does. There was a version released on the Commodore Amiga, and I think possibly the Atari ST, but I always enjoy the C64 one. You never quite know where these bad guys are going to appear from, and as you'll see in a second, you do get later baddies who home in on you, and you get the noise like so, and the only way to really avoid it is to keep backtracking, go backwards and try and take him out. Once you kill all the baddies, you go into this warp. Now this is always really difficult. Let's see how I get on. Not very well, but I mean, that is super impressive the way it draws these graphics. So that was Encounter. Next up is the classic Zaxxon. Now there were a few versions of this release, but this was the one by Signsoft. This was a very early game, and as far as being faithful to the arcade game goes, this is super impressive. I mean, I remember seeing screenshots of this game, and compared to the games I was playing, this just looked amazing. I mean, even now that you know, I don't know how long ago it was, 1983, what, 35 years ago was it, something like that? It's still impressive looking. The scrolling's super smooth, graphics are colourful. I mean, it really is, it's not a kicking arse off the arcade. And so when I saw this game, like most people, your jaw just hit the floor. It just looked so good, and it plays really well as well. I think the only way you can destroy these little guys is if you're on the same height as them. You'll see there, obviously when they're further down and you're further up, you're not going to be able to hit them. But the best thing to do here is just to basically avoid them. It's like when you get the wee X appearing like so, it means that you're on the same height as them and they can kill you as well as you can kill them. But yeah, this is a fantastic version of Zaxxon, and it's just as difficult. Right, next up, I couldn't leave this one out, pole position. Again, the driving games that I had at the time, there was nothing to write home about, and then I was lucky enough to get a copy of this by Atari, and from the opening bit at the start, I mean, there's no speech. This, to me, this was the arcade. Yeah, looking at it now, it's very, very blocky looking, but it still plays pretty well. But to a 17-year-old main meister, this was the arcade. I had an arcade machine in my house, you know. It played well. Yes, the graphics are blocky to say the least, but it plays like the arcade game, and it was great fun to play. Me and my mates used to cane this non-stop. Never got very far in it, but just a great game. Kaboom! This game would be excellent using a paddle, but I don't believe it supported it. But this game just showed me that, you know, good driving games were possible. It was obviously eclipsed, you know, a few years later with other games, your Pit Stop 2s and whatnot, but I loved this game back in the day. That was pole position. And another one, Pit Stop by Epix 1983. This was another game that, if anything, I was going to say it's more impressive than pole position. It's a slightly different viewpoint. This game probably has more in common with Turbo, the Sega game Turbo, which I shall let you see. You've got a choice of what do you call it, tracks. And like any driving game, the idea is to get around it as quickly as possible. Now, what makes this one a bit different, you can see there all your tyres are blue. Now what you need to try and do is avoid contact with other cars or the side of the road, because your tyres do start to wear. You'll see there they're changing colour, and if they wear too much, you'll get a blowout, and that'll be a race over. But what you can do, hopefully I'll be able to show you in a second, once you complete a lap, you can pit stop, hence the name of the game, and you can change your tyres, put fuel in. You'll see there I've also got limited fuel as well. But I love this game. It introduced strategy to the game, so it was a bit more involved in pole position. So there you go. This is great. It's so good, this little section. You've got to control the wee guys. Listen to that sound. And put fuel in. There was a bit of skill to trying to do a quick pit stop. I mean, these guys in real life do it in 2 seconds. I'm 20 seconds. I need to get that wee guy out the road. He needs to move back. But the sound of the cars in the background is just awesome. You can see the little tyre that it changes now. Oh, it's going green. Don't know what happened there. But yeah, this was a great driving game. But like I said, guys, there's so many more. I mean, even now I can think of other games like, what else was there? Kennedy Approach, which I'll need to do a video on. Kennedy Approach was an amazing game for its time. Fantastic speech. Solo Flight, wonderful flight simulator. So that is Pit Stop. This game, Dino Eggs, I did do a video again recently in 1983, blimey. It's a really early game, and there's probably not many people have heard of this. I don't believe that this game was ever released. It may have been. I might be talking utter shite, but you know, I got a copy of this way back when it first came out, and the presentation, playability is just wonderful. The idea of the game is you've basically got to try and rescue dinosaur eggs. Now if you pull down and press the fire button, you'll knock down the little rock to expose the eggs. These white things are eggs. You can pick up 3 eggs, which I've got. You can see there it says eggs 3. You then make a beeline back to your little warp, and if you pull down and press fire button, you'll then sort of deposit the eggs and safeguarding the dinosaur's existence. Now you'll see there you get little snakes that pass along. You've got to avoid them. You can kill them by dropping rocks in their head. There's another wee egg. Pick that up and deposit it. Now it's telling me to start a fire. Whoa! Whoa! Because that's the dinosaur mom isn't happy that you're stealing her eggs, so she will every few seconds or whatever it is, I don't know the timeline, she'll stomp her foot down, and you need to obviously try and avoid that. But if you start a fire, I think that stops her from appearing. To start a fire, you'll see at the very bottom, there you go, I've got a fire going now. If you see at the very bottom you've got a piece of wood. If you put 2 pieces of wood together, that will start a fire, and it should stop. I think it kills the baddies as well. But this is an absolutely wonderful game. Dinosaur hatching. You'll see, look at the wee little baby dinosaur. I mean, how cute is that? Ah, balls. Now you'll see that the fire only lasts for so long. It's got a number of seconds underneath, so it's got 7, but it's not seconds, it's computer seconds. Ah, right, okay, yeah, to safeguard a little dinosaur, if you just jump over it, that kind of keeps it safe. There we go. But if you've never played this game is one of the most fun games on the Commodore 64 game. It really is that good. There's so much depth to it, and it's just presented so well, and it's enormous fun. So that is Dino Eggs. Next one is Load Runner. This game has been converted to virtually every system under the sun. I mean, I don't think there's ever been a version for like current consoles, but it's got some of the most basic graphics, and it's got some of the most frustrating gameplay, but it's simplicity itself. Basically the idea is you've got to collect all the gold bars. Once you do so, there's a ladder opens at the top, and then you can exit the level. But to try and thwart your aims of picking up all the gold, you've got these little guys who'll chase you. Now it's fairly simplistic AI. They will always try and zoom in on you. They'll always try and get to you. They'll try and take the shortest path possible. Now what you can do to kill them is you can, or to at least slow them up, you can make a hole. You can make a hole either left or right, and the baddies will fall into it, but they will eventually climb back out. But if you make enough holes, they'll eventually basically get encased, because the hole eventually repairs itself. And I've just died. But you also need to be very careful, because if you fall into a hole and that's you're dead, you can't get out. So you need to be very careful. But there's a lot of strategy. Probably the best thing to do with this game is to really study the level first and map out where you're going to go, because some of the levels, as you'll see, well, I might not get to the end of the level actually, but you've got to kind of dig your way down without making sure that you can escape as well. But it's a wonderful game. It's simple graphics, but really I put a lot of time into this game. It's really worth checking out. So that is a mighty Load Runner. Right, next one, only got 2 to go. This is Castle Wolfenstein. Now, apologies that when I was playing this game for this video, it wasn't going particularly well, but the idea of the game is you've got to try and, you're a prisoner in Castle Wolfenstein, you've got to try and escape. The graphics are shit, it has got speech, but the strategy element, trying to collect things, shoot people, you get like passes, you get officers' uniforms and that kind of stuff. It's an amazing game. This, believe it or not, is the game that spawned 3D Wolfenstein by by ID Software, who then went on to make the mighty Doom, and you know, we know the history of that. So this is the granddaddy of Doom, this game that you're seeing here. Graphics look abysmal, but it's a great game, it really is. And it's also probably the first game, I think, that I ever came across that had speech in it. I don't think this game ever came out on tape. I think it was always disc. Now it does use keys, which I can't remember. I'm trying to... how do I shoot? There's his speech. Brilliant. That is Castle Wolfenstein. Not the greatest video I showed you there, guys, but believe you me, it's awesome. Right, and to finish off, I couldn't leave out this one, Gyrus. This is an absolutely fantastic conversion of the arcade game. Plays really well, it's got a stonking soundtrack. You will not play a better shoot 'em up on the C64, in my opinion. I'm not a fan of music in shoot 'em ups. I always think that shoot 'em ups really need sound effects, but this is the exception. The music really adds to the experience of the game. Ah, damn it. Shoot the little thing in the middle and you get double fire power. There we go. Like I says, guys, there are so many more games that I could have included in this video. You know, there was a lot of American software came out after this, stuff like Summer Games 2, all these games. But these were the very early games that I got to play, and compared to the stuff that I was playing that had been programmed in UK, it was on a different level, and it really opened my eyes as to just what an amazing computer the Commodore 64 was. And it's probably part of the reason why here I am, some 35 years later, I'm still playing video games. And all these games that I showed you today, the games that I showed you today, bar maybe a couple like Snooky, are definitely worthwhile playing. You know, a good game is a good game regardless of how old it is. So anyway, guys, that is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and as usual, thank you very much for watching.